Before we get into the video, do not forget to like, comment and subscribe. So we already know that this country is in a very bad shape at the moment, but if you want to pinpoint the exact moment when this country went down the toilet or the swan, this would be it. CCTV was able to capture footage of a hooded idiot who must have had such a desire to kill a person that he actually lunged at a teenager in the middle of a busy road / zebra crossing in broad daylight with his bladed weapon. This unprovoked attack took place in Gravesend, Kent on Tuesday, June the 15th, shortly before 1 PM, meaning that this attempted murder happened during peak hours. Now the footage shows the victim, who was wearing a blue t-shirt, was being chased onto a zebra crossing, and because he's being chased by a hooded, deranged man holding a knife, panic, fear, dread, adrenaline must have kicked in. And then the teenager ended up tripping over his own self, and then he fell to the ground right in the middle of a zebra crossing at the exact moment an oncoming car approaches. Thankfully, the car was able to brake to a halt, but then inadvertently the driver of the vehicle now has a front seat of a potential murder. Imagine gripping the steering wheel, looking out of your windshield and seeing a teenager laying in the road on his back in the defence position, while another person towers over them with a knife raised above their head. What would go through your mind? Now the hooded man, who hasn't been named, can be seen raising the knife above his head before jabbing and thrusting the knife at the teenager, not once nor twice, but at least 4 times. Thankfully, the teenager had the instinct and the guts to fight for his life. Now I say that because lesser people would have cried or accepted their fate, or even froze. But the teenager kicked out at the knifeman before clambering back to his unsteady feet. Now it was at that exact moment that the hooded man fled, and that I knew that this guy was not your typical bad man. He was a fake thug and frankly a wuss. Really, the only reason why this guy thought he could attack the victim was because he had a knife, but as soon as the victim fought back and there was a presence around, the knifeman decided to make a run for it. It's cowards like these that scream the loudest how they are about this quote-unquote life. They are the type of people to flock with other cowards and band together to attack people for no apparent reason. Also, it's worthwhile to mention, but fair play to the initial car that stopped short of running the victim over, because the driver did bump the curb in order to block the knifeman's path when he tried to make a run for it, but the knifeman doubled back and hid behind a shop. As for the teenage victim, police and emergency services were called and he was taken to London Hospital to be treated for stab wounds to the back and thigh. Reports indicate that though he was suffered from multiple stab wounds, his injuries are not thought to be life-threatening. This was not an assault, this was a blatant attempt at murder. The knifeman wanted to slaughter another person in the most cruel and vindictive and heinous way. He actually chased his victim onto a busy road / zebra crossing, and with total disregard for whom were around, for example, the mother and baby he pushed past as he fled, he raised his bladed weapon and tried his damnedest to lunge it into the victim's flesh. Bear in mind, the victim is only a teenager, and it's only by sheer luck that the teenager is not dead at this very moment. So far the criminal has not been caught. All I can say is stay safe, safe.